Sewage water in the bathrooms, mold, and more than 50 other violations found at a local apartment building. What new action the city of Durham is now taking against the complex. Then, happening now, the new tactic family and friends of a missing Moore County woman are trying to help find her.
I'm tracking our next best chance to see showers and storms. WRAL's Futurecast shows the timing and who's most at risk.
Tonight, friends and family of Alicia Watts continue their search. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Watts has been missing now since July 16th. Police identified her boyfriend, James Dunmore, as a person of interest in this case. WRL's Julian Gray shows us tonight what Watts' family and friends are doing.
Tonight, family and friends, they are taking this vigil on the road. They're loading up this bus right now, and they're heading to Anson County. Once there, they will go to the DMV, where police found James Dunmore, who was in Watts' car at the time, but there was no Watts. Tonight's group will pass out flyers in that area, asking anyone with information to come forward. This group says they have no plans of stopping until Alicia is home.
She's not just a missing person. She is a person who's well loved and who's very important to so many people in so many different ways. And we just, we're not going to let it die. We're going to keep reminding everybody until she comes home that she's missing, and we love her and we want her home immediately.
Tonight at 10 and 11, we're going to follow this bus all the way to Anson County as family and friends try to get answers.
I'm Brett Neese here in the WRAL Live Center. We got good news tonight. This is our live traffic map. We got plenty of green now on the map after major delays with people going home from work, all due to a crash that happened at Wade and Blue Ridge. This is some of the backups there from Sky 5 that happened this morning. This crash happened around 8:18 this morning. It was this tractor trailer into some power lines, closing down both directions of Wade Avenue. We have video from Sky 5 just less than an hour ago of them actually moving the cones out of the way. This was the on-ramp from the Beltline onto Wade Avenue. These backups extended well past Glenwood on the Beltline. I mean, it was about a 20 to 25 minute delay for some people to get home from work this evening, but now thankfully back open tonight and people are able to drive smoothly.
That is good news, Brett. Thanks. The city of Durham is taking action on issues at JFK Towers on North Roxborough Street. Residents have showed WRAL issues of broken elevators, mold, overflowing trash. WRAL's Monica Casey shows us the legal action on the table and the company's latest response.
Durham's code enforcement team cited 55 issues here at JFK Towers, from problems with smoke detectors and other life and safety devices to plumbing fixtures in disrepair and inoperable air conditioners.
It's more. Come on, 55?
Johnetta Alston is one of the JFK Towers residents who aired her concerns to city councilors Monday night.
Thank you for opening the door for about 2 hours for us to get it out. I'm grateful and very appreciative of that.
Phyllis Bryant also joined her.
We got the opportunity to point out a lot of the security, the aircon, the pest problems, a lot of the general problems we've talked about.
City staff laid out the problems to the elected officials and the reasons for the code enforcement violations.
There has been a history, as has been stated tonight, of inoperable elevators and other sanitary related kinds of things.
What we need to do is have better communication with the residents to address these items so that they are informed and not necessarily satisfied, but informed.
Tom McNona with Millennia, who owns the building, says construction on rehabilitating the 177 units is 4 months behind.
It's not happening fast enough, but we are working behind the scenes to address these issues, to address pest control, to address the new compactor that was needed, to jet dry and get quotes to jet out all the water pipes.
August 19th is the deadline for most of those code violations. Property owners here will need to have them fixed or a clear plan in place to avoid this action elevating to the Housing Appeals Board. Monica Casey, WRAL News in Durham.
And the property owners also say they are considering a new contract for elevator inspection and maintenance on the site after repeated issues. We have their full statement on our website.
The storms last night had power crews busy. Duke Energy saying they've been called out to more than 500 different sites across the triangle where branches and debris came down on power lines, damaging them. Along with sending those repair crews, though, they're actually using this new technology. It's very interesting. Duke Energy says they have this new, they call it self-healing systems that automatically recognize where lines are damaged and then reroute power around those areas to minimize outage times. I wish he always is such a good spokesperson, too. I think he was just talking about the way the system works, and it really is quite interesting. While the tech is already making a difference, the company says those damaged lines, they still need to be fixed the old-fashioned way before power can be fully restored.
A Wake County family was just watching TV when they suddenly heard a massive boom, and it turns out it was this 100-year-old tree coming crashing down on their home on Campbell Way in Swift Creek in Raleigh. Lisa Brooks' father built the home in 1972. The tree crashed through their study. That just so happens to be where they kept their father's memorabilia. He died last year. The family said it's heartbreaking and they are concerned the home is a total loss. They're currently staying with other family and they say they hope the tree will be removed tomorrow so that they can assess the damage to see if they can rebuild. That fallen tree was one of dozens brought down by strong wind. You can see here, plenty of homes and damage there, and they contributed to hundreds of thousands of power outages. Fortunately, that number has gone down dramatically as Duke Energy works to get your lights back on. You're looking at Sky 5 video of damage across the area. At the height of last night's storm, more than 280,000 outages were reported. That number is now down to about 24,000.
The Orange County Rape Crisis Center is making major cuts in order to stay afloat. It's a nonprofit cutting half of its staff now, and several staple programs will be drastically reduced or even eliminated. Most of its cases will be waitlisted, and the agency will only be able to provide therapy to about 40% of its caseload. The executive director says this is one of the steepest challenges she's faced in her entire 14-year career.
This is a movement that was started by survivors, is led by survivors, and we're not going to let Rape Crisis Services go away. However, with those funds over the last 20, 30 years, we've been able to grow.
She noted that federal funding has significantly decreased over the last 3 years. At the same time, the number of survivors looking for support has increased. These changes will go into effect in October.
The family of a missing woman, Samantha Bryant, confirms a body found yesterday in Robeson County is hers. The 31-year-old was last seen July 31st with her boyfriend, Tyrone Brooks, who is now charged with murder. WRAL's Gilbert Bays spoke with the woman's mother, who is devastated by this loss.
Well, authorities from the Robeson County Sheriff's Office spent most of the day here on Drops Landing Drive. They got a tip that the missing woman's body might be found here.
This is a very rural part of Robeson County. Its tranquility was shattered yesterday by a gruesome discovery. The body of 31-year-old Samantha Bryant was discovered in a field behind a home that she shared with her boyfriend, Tyrone Brooks. Now a grieving grandmother has to figure out how to break the terrible news to the children Bryant left behind.
They went to get my grandkids right now because they don't know. We haven't told them. They knew that she was missing, but we haven't told them that she was dead.
Bryant was last seen with her boyfriend on July 31st. Her mother says last year she called because she wanted help leaving him.
And my daughter went and got her and she went back.
Her mother says Bryant and her boyfriend were going through drug rehab to try to get their lives back on track.
She was doing everything she could to get him straight and herself. She loved her family, but she just couldn't get away from him.
Brooks made his first court appearance this morning. He remains locked up without bond in the Robeson County Detention Center. In Robeson County, Gilbert Bays, WRAL News.
In addition to the grief, the family is struggling with the expenses to make funeral arrangements. We have a link to the GoFundMe page for Samantha Bryant at the end of this story over on WRAL.com.
The developer of a high-rise office tower in Raleigh wants people to be able to fly in and fly out, but neighbors aren't exactly thrilled with the potential for noise. After the break, we go in depth on the future of helipads and what the developer is saying. Kat?
After yesterday's storms, we're certainly happy to see a break today and tomorrow, but that could change again on Thursday. I'll have a closer look at the severe weather outlook coming up.
In Wayne County, Goldsboro is one step closer to getting a social district. Last night, City Council unanimously approved an ordinance for one. The district would be downtown. A development specialist with the city says it hopes to have the district up and running within 60 days. In Lee County, this school year, a handful of schools will offer free meals to its students. The list of schools on your screen. Meals were free at all public schools during the pandemic. That federal program ended, so Lee County is taking advantage of a new one. It's called the Community Eligibility Provision. It makes it so breakfast and lunch are free to students at the listed schools on your screen here. No application is required. Now, if your school is not on this list, you must apply for meal benefits.
Make sure your jackets are buttoned and your earpiece is snugly inserted in your ear. And we are going in depth here with Dan Haggerty once again. I want to do something. It's a little different. It's a little segment inside a segment called "You Might Have Missed This," and I get it. There's a lot going on in the news. Huge storms, massive inflation, billion-dollar lotteries. I'm pretty sure they're aliens now. There's a lot to pay attention to. So don't feel bad if you missed this story. It's on our website. Some Raleigh residents oppose proposed heliport near North Hills development. You see, North Hills is in the process of blowing up, man. They want to build these fancy high-rises, all kind of luxury stuff down there. When I look at the renderings, I think the Charlotte of the future. But that's just me. So the project is called The Exchange, which is a little ironic because neighbors haven't been loving their end of the deal. Currently upset that the developers want to put a helipad on the property, and, you know, helicopters are pretty noisy. We asked the developer about this, and they sent us a statement that sounds like it came from the PR bot 5000. It reads, "The Exchange Raleigh is a future-focused, innovative development, and the goal with this zoning condition is to allow our development to evolve as real estate needs change." Thank you, PR bot 5000. Fortunately for you, I speak fluent PR and I can translate. See, future-focused means they're focused on the future, which I'm glad they cleared up, and it explains why they don't have a place to tie up your horse outside. After all, in the future, we're all going to be taking helicopters everywhere, maybe. I'm not sure what's in store for horses, but don't forget this headline. Before the whole world changed in January of 2020 and everything turned to COVID, North Carolina became first in flight once again. One of those autonomous flying taxis took off in our state for the first demonstration in North America. Governor Cooper posted these pictures on Twitter being like, "Whoa, cool." A South Korean company with its government support and private U.S. backing wants to launch flying taxis in 2025 and expect it to be big business. And Forbes reported earlier this year, with commute times growing in large cities, investors poured $7 billion into air mobility companies last year, expecting the global air taxi market to be worth $2.32 billion by 2027, which is right around the corner. And let's face it, the truth is, super rich people like super cool stuff, like helicopters. And when you're building a $1 billion project, you want to attract super rich people to live there. That said, they are loud. I mean, according to Helicopter Association International, the sound of a helicopter flying at 500 feet is about 87 decibels. For comparison, it's about as loud as using a hairdryer right next to your head. And here I am, 2 minutes after making fun of PR people on TV, news-splaining that helicopters are loud. Tune in tomorrow for Water is Wet. That said, they are loud. And I know that because we hear Sky 5 all the time. And when you're around something like this, as often as I am, you ask yourself a couple of questions. Like, one, is it cool that this thing takes off from our roof all the time? Yeah, it's super cool. Two, is it a little louder than a hairdryer? Sure feels like it. And three, would I want to live next to a helicopter or a flying vehicle that takes off and lands who knows how many times a day? Well, these are questions we are going to have to continue to ask ourselves as new developments want to be prepared for this city of the future that sure feels more and more every day like the city and the Raleigh of the now. Let me know what you think. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. It can be about this story or any other. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
Oh, you know what? Your hair did not move one bit.
No, that this is like a Lego. It just pops on. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with these things.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But some neighbors just not so thrilled about this possibility.
You know, helicopters are loud. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us now. Is it good helicopter weather tonight?
It is tonight, but it's interesting to think, in the future, as you have those helicopter taxis flying around, there's going to be a big need for, more meteorologists. You've got all the FAA that's got to work with that. So it's not just the technology of the taxi helicopters. There's a lot of people that would be involved in keeping the skies in good shape for that kind of stuff. We'll see how it goes in the future. Outside today, be great flying weather. It's beautiful this afternoon. Pretty typical August weather for us now. We do have another storm system that's going to be moving in as we get into Thursday, and this could bring another threat for some scattered strong storms. I will say there is still some uncertainty at this point. We're going to have to keep an eye on Tennessee tomorrow. That's where we're going to see this complex of storms form initially. Once it forms, we're going to get a really better idea of the trajectory. For now, all of North and South Carolina included in the severe weather threat for Thursday. It's a level 1 out of 5 threat. So in comparison, yesterday was a level 3 threat. So this is not going to be a repeat, more than likely, of what we saw yesterday. But there will be a threat that we could see some more strong, damaging winds. So if we take a look at futurecasts tomorrow, things should be quiet for us locally as we head into the afternoon and evening. But in Tennessee, there are going to be a few lines of storms that move through the area. This run of futurecast showing it initially falling apart as it crosses over the North Carolina mountains for that first complex of storms. But the second one may have a better shot at actually reaching us, and that would form Wednesday night, moving through Tennessee Thursday morning and reaching us potentially by Thursday afternoon. We're going to keep a close eye on this. It may not be a solid line that's this long. We may see some breaks in the lines. Some models keeping the bulk of the activity in South Carolina. It's something worth watching. We want to give you an early heads up, but just to let you know, once the line of storms forms, we'll really get a better feel for it. So keep checking in for updates. At the DVAP tonight, check out the sunset. It's a pretty sunset in the distance. I will say not quite as pretty as last night's pink glow to the sky with the rainbows, but boy, it's a great night for baseball. And the Bulls have Bark in the Park on Thursday, one of my favorite nights of the year. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on the forecast for them for that big event on Thursday. The muggy meter right now, not bad, 67 the dew point. It feels steamy outside. It's going to feel a little bit better tomorrow. Tolerable, 64 the dew point tomorrow. So we're down just a little bit more, a really comfortable start tomorrow morning, but still hot during the afternoon. 8 a.m. right around 70 degrees if you're headed to the pool. By 10 a.m. you should be set 80 degrees, right around that number at least by 10 a.m. Lunchtime 85 and in the upper 80s to lower 90s during the afternoon. Town by town, we've got 87 in Roxborough, 90 in Durham, 91 Raleigh, 92 for Rocky Mount as well as Fayetteville and Southern Pines. If you need to do anything, tomorrow's going to be your best bet to do it this week. It's the lowest humidity and the lowest rain chances of the week. Once we get to Thursday, we're tracking that storm chance. Friday's rain chances down to 20%, but that's when temperatures really start to jump. 93 Friday, 94 Saturday, and 96 on Sunday. The heat index for the weekend exceeding 100 again. And by Sunday, some scattered storms back in the forecast. For now, the good news to report, it's a pretty typical August forecast for us, and we do not have anything looming in the tropics at this point.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kat.
A Knightdale man has made his mission to walk 300 miles across North Carolina.
All while carrying a cross. After the break, the mission he's hoping to accomplish on his track. In some ways.
For young men at a crossroads, a Knightdale man has a solution called a crosswalk.
Brent Sellers is leading a group of men down I-40 on a 300-mile march across North Carolina to bring awareness to the drug and opioid epidemic. You may have seen them carrying giant crosses made of PVC pipe on the shoulder of the road. And his mission is for those on the wrong path to take a detour toward faith. For Sellers, who is a former drug addict himself, it's about reformation and finding God.
Well, when people find out what we're doing, they message us, they text us, they email us, hey, I just had a son that died. I just had a daughter that just passed away. I'm taking care of my grandkids, and thank you for doing what you're doing. It means a lot to me to be able to see that there's people out here that's really making a difference, that are drawing awareness to this.
Their journey began on July 4th in Wise, North Carolina. They hope to wrap things up in Southport in the coming weeks. Quite a mission. It is the second week for our month-long Clear the Shelters campaign.
Each day, WRAL will highlight a participating shelter in our area. Today's shelter spotlight is Goat House Refuge. Meet Ollie and Julio, a loving and silly pair of 2-year-old bonded brothers who need to be adopted together as indoor-only cats. They are both very social and would thrive in a family where there's lots of activity. Ollie is very playful, can occupy himself for hours, such a cutie, or even cuddle up on the couch. I know. Julio is the watchdog of sorts and likes to be near his people. Now, both are blind and ready to give you unconditional love. Keep in mind, there are so many other ways that you can help if you can't adopt right now. Find our shelter wish list, including items that they need, volunteer opportunities. You can head on over to WRAL.com/shelters for all that information.
Lots of great stuff to be done.
A baby chimpanzee at the North Carolina Zoo has her name.
This is Bintu. The name means beautiful one. She was born on July 1st. The North Carolina Zoo Society members decided on this name. Bintu is one of 2 baby chimpanzees born at the zoo this year, born to different mothers. Gombe was born back in May.
So cute.
The Carolina Panthers will kick off the preseason this Saturday against the New York Jets.
It'll be our first look at QB Bryce Young in a game setting. WRAL's Chris Lee will be in Charlotte for the game. Watch all the action at Bank of America Stadium on WRAL Saturday at 4 o'clock, and then live reports from Chris on our news after the game.
It'll be fun to see what Bryce Young can do. Yeah.
Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news.
Our next newscast is 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and back here on WRAL at 11. We'll see you then. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.